Welcome to another episode of the CPG Guys podcast. Our co-hosts, Sri Rajagopalan and Peter V.S. Bond, explore how brands and retailers engage with consumers online, in-store, and everywhere in between. And now, here are Sri and Peter. Hey, welcome again to the CPG Guys podcast. I'm PVSB, one of the aforementioned CPG guys. I'm also the VP of Commercial Strategy at Fetch Rewards, a mobile loyalty platform. I'm particularly intrigued by loyalty and the applications of first-party consumption data in the CPG retail industry. My co-host, well, he's an expert in omnichannel commerce, and he's particularly fascinated by our topic today, retail media and digital marketing. Would you please welcome the other CPG guy, the man known as Sri. Sri, how you doing, brother?
Peter, actually not that great because Yankee Land is in mourning. We've lost 2 games in a row. Like, how could this be happening? Like, I'm melting down at 58 and 23, Peter. We're only on pace for 116. Not okay. We're gonna miss 117.
You're only up by 38 games in the East. Please, I don't want to hear you crying. Please. I'm just looking forward to coming out to LA next week and going to the All-Star game with you. That should be a lot
I can't wait, man. We've got our All-Star shirts ready.
I know we do. We're ready to go. But thanks. And Sri, before we get to our guests, I want to remind our audience that if you want to find all the tremendous content that we produce, just visit cpgguys.com. We've got a brand new site. It organizes all of our episodes by topic. We have a merch store, so if you want to get a t-shirt, you can get that. And of course, it's all free, and you can sign up for our forthcoming newsletter. We're going to be strategizing on that while I'm out in LA next week. And if you aren't already following us on LinkedIn, just open the app or go to LinkedIn's site on a PC or a notebook and enter CPG Guys in the search box from the LinkedIn page. And when you get there, just click follow. That way you'll get to see all the content we're producing. It's all free. We don't charge for it. We see this as an educational journey, and we want to make it remain that way. That is probably the nicest thing that people say to us is they learn so much about this industry by listening to the podcast, and that's how we have created the format. You know, we got another podcast, Sri, our friends Daniel and Efrain over in Europe. They take our format and they talk to fast-moving consumer goods luminaries in retail and FMCG. From a European perspective, if you want to learn more about them, you can go to our site. It's on the navigation bar at the top, or just go to fmcgguys.com. And of course, we're very proud to partner with Next Up, also known as Network of Executive Women, whose mission it is to advance all women in business and to promote the cause of gender equality and career development. Please visit nextupisnow.org/CPGguys to learn more about this great group. And in the middle of every Wednesday episode, including this one, we'll have a little break and you'll find a little Easter egg about upcoming events and seminars. You want to learn more, just go to the site and there's a link in the digital liner notes of this podcast. All right, Sri, on to the main event, shall we? Ding, ding. Today's episode features, well, I know it's certainly Sri's favorite topic and it's increasingly mine. Of course, we're talking about retail media. And we are particularly happy to welcome a new retail voice in this conversation. In November of last year, the Albertsons companies announced the formation of Albertsons Media Collective to provide shopper-centric and engaging branded content to customers across Albertsons' digital properties. So here to speak with us about the extent to which brands can access the powerful engagement tools in Albertsons Media Collective is the head of retail media products. He has nearly 2 decades of experience in media and digital marketing. And joining him for today's podcast is our Fresh 4 co-host, Melissa Burdick from Pacvue. Please join Sri and me in welcoming to the podcast, Evan Hovorka. Evan, how you doing?
Good, Peter. How are you doing?
I am doing absolutely terrific. It's so great to have you here today. Hey, Melissa.
Hey, guys. Great to see all of you.
Well, you know, we do our Fresh 4 news bit every week, and it's great to have you in where we're actually, because we record. It's a big secret, everybody. We all record our segments separately, and then we merge them together. This is one of the rare times Melissa and Sri and I actually get to talk to each other on a weekly basis. So very excited to have you here. Before we get to the questions Sri and I have prepared for the both of you, let me start, Evan. would you please let our audience know where on the web they can learn more about Albertsons Media Collective? And would you please give us a brief introduction to this business unit of the Albertsons companies?
Yeah, certainly. So it's Albertsons. The Albertsons Media Collective is Albertsons' step into retail media, which is becoming a common trend for any retailer of note. We are joining the fray a little late. We would call that our late mover advantage, and we're going to use that advantage to kind of leapfrog over the potholes that others have helped define and prove how to jump over. We're also going to use it to lean in more with our customers, the CPG group, to help build products that fit the gaps that they're facing. So that helps us be a differentiator and helps us solve problems that other RMNs have yet to solve, and then avoid the pitfalls of early phase, what I call Gen 1, Gen 2 RMN development. And we are known as the Albertsons Media Collective, and our domain is very much the same name, .com, and you can go there to find some of our templates, use cases, and other ways to connect with the company.
Thank you, Evan. Melissa, why don't you let us know about what Pacvue is and where they can learn more about you guys online?
Awesome, yeah. So for those of you who don't know, Pacvue is the enterprise software suite for e-commerce. We help brands manage their marketplace operations, sales, advertising all in one place, and we do it by unifying retail media. We have a lot of great automated tools and recommendations that e-commerce teams use to work smarter together and ultimately save time and better optimize their businesses across, I think we have 31 retailers, 20 different countries, Amazon, Walmart, Albertsons. We've recently added and have the pleasure of working with Evan and his team. And we offer all of our resources at pacvue.com. We're always looking at creating great content, blog posts, tips and tricks. How can you be successful in retail media? There's a new platform launching every week, basically. And so really helping our clients understand how you can optimize e-commerce, how you can learn more about the platforms, and really providing that information to our clients and anyone, really.
Thanks, Melissa. That's really helpful. So for both Evan and Melissa, we're going to include in the digital liner notes of our podcast links to your LinkedIn profiles, to corporate sites you mentioned. So anyone listening, you don't have to write it all down. Just open up. 92% of you are listening to this podcast on your mobile phone. Just open up the podcast, click on the liner notes, and there are your hyperlinks. And you can browse along while you're listening to the melodious sounds of Melissa and Evan as they tell us all about their businesses. So this will be really great. So why don't we get to the questions? Shereen, I've got some really great ones. We're so excited because this is our first time really getting to understand more about AMC. My question is going to go first to Evan. Evan, can you dimensionalize for us, what is the underlying data asset that powers Albertsons Media Collective? So dimensionalize, what is the shopper base, the banners, the omnichannel sales volume, all the key metrics that are going to get brands saying, wow, this is a pretty powerful platform to speak with Albertsons shoppers.
Yeah, I think that's the billion-dollar question: is what makes one data package more unique than the next? Because in there lives the truth, and you want to get as close to the truth as possible. With a retailer, there really isn't a closer layer to source of truth information. You could argue completeness, frequency. You could argue national footprint. But that credit card being swiped at point of sale with a logged in customer, be that online or offline, is the zero moment, right, for a CPG looking to track sales, influence decisions, understand what that customer is doing before, during, and after the transaction. So to answer your question more completely, though, this is true, very much true for Albertsons, which is a collection of banners that includes Safeway, Tom Thumb, Star Market, United. There are many brands across our great states that represent the Albertsons moniker. And in there, we have a single comprehensive definition of point of sale, of loyalty, of app and website. So that's all running on the same code base across those banners, which is an amazing feat considering the level of acquisition and differentiation across the different stores. but we run on one point of sale system, which is that super fast connected transaction at the SKU level, right, or item level. And you can dial that into the aisle that you checked out in within the time window that the transaction happens. So there's a location component. There's ties to every single item, every coupon that was redeemed, every discount. Was it paid with a gift card? Was it a cash transaction? All of that is recorded into a point of sale. I don't think I'm sharing anything new with your audience or yourself, certainly. But what's important about that is the frequency and the loyalty of those stores. So it's 2,200 stores. They are locally strong or locally very frequented by the customer. And so we're seeing on average 4 trips a week for our VIPs. So great to have a point of sale transaction, great to have an e-com transaction. What's important is to see the frequency. So you're building out that whole basket picture. And from there, it turns into a loyalty play. So how many of those transactions are authenticated? How many can tie back to a known CRM first-party customer, which is such a hot topic? We have a very high penetration of our loyalty program. So it's an 85% plus transaction identified rate, which is extremely high in the RMN space. That's key. It's driven by a desire to get the discounted price and the coupons. We have a very strong coupon business. I'll save that for a separate question. But that drives the authentication on and offline. From there, we move into the app and site. And having a single code base means we have single definition of those digital IDs that we all love to hate that are going away. Well, they don't entirely go away for first-party data owners. We get to maintain some control. We don't get to leave our home and do whatever we want with those cookies and device IDs, but internally, they can be used to navigate identity and create interesting data sets. Of course, all of that lives within a very strict privacy approval process, which we adhere to. So, I listed point of sale, loyalty program, both highly high frequency, high authentication, and that translates to a high digital identity, which is complemented with our site and app data. So in there lives all of our browse behavior, coupon clippings, online transactions as well, which has seen some pretty phenomenal growth before COVID and through COVID. And that really completes our top tier assets. Beyond that, you get into local inventory, price, availability. That data is very unique now with supply chain issues and price sensitivities with inflation. All of that really rounds out the core, which I call our point of sale loyalty and digital behavior data assets.
Wow, Sri, how about that for coverage and propensity purchasing signals? That's pretty impressive, eh?
Yeah, first of all, Evan and Melissa, welcome to the show. It's always a pleasure to talk retail media, one of my favorite topics in the entire industry, where, if you thought about it, it's barely been 5 years since retail media networks were formed, created, and really started thriving. So this is still brand new for most of the CPG industry, especially for grocery retail. But just diving into all the details you gave, Evan, could you give us a flavor for what the banner names are that are very much part of the retail media network? And then what sort of inventory is actually available for them to participate or plan campaigns, etc., with Albertsons? And how does it connect back with a merchant?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Sri. The brands that Albertsons own are some of the largest grocery, pharmacy, and alcohol brands across the U.S. So they include Jewel-Osco, Vons, Safeway, Shaw's, Acme, Tom Thumb, Randall's, United, Pavilions, Star Market, Hagen, Cars, King's Food Markets, and Belducci's. And of course, the namesake, Albertsons. So those create our vast network of stores, the 2,200 plus. Inside of that network lives a significant number of distribution centers, manufacturing plants, and all of the infrastructure required to keep those stores stocked and productive. The assets, though, the second part of your question, that's interesting. The inventory available, that's, I think, the second most important question after what is the data asset? What's the unique reason to believe in that retail media network? The second is, where can you take action against that data? And so that's the available inventory or the available ad slots. So we have a very healthy digital footprint. I think that's the logical place for RMNs to begin their journey. And so our site and app, which, like I said, is the single code base for all those brands I just mentioned, have the same payload, ad payload across homepage, coupon pages, checkout pages. And in there live opportunities for CPGs to dial in their strategy against our ad inventory. And so if they're looking for awareness, top of funnel types of campaigns, we can put them in our category pages, which have a lot of exploratory activity happening, certainly homepage. As they dial that funnel down into more of the decision making and the purchase patterns, we have PDPs. So we have a search product page. Melissa can lean in there. Thanks to her partnership, we're growing investment in our search results. And then we dial all the way down to PDP pages themselves. Beyond that, we get into typical expansions into email as a digital ad unit. And then off platform is where things really start to get interesting. In there, we have partnerships with the Trade Desk that was just announced, where we're doing some unique connection points, DV360 through Google, and then the social platforms. We're still growing our social platform footprint, but we're playing right now with Pinterest and Meta. That's the ad inventory, the digital ad inventory. As we move into coupons in store, we've got a very robust coupon business that is available digitally. So manufacturers, CPGs can invest there through their manufactured coupons or through bespoke coupon setups with our company directly. Those coupons can be pulled into the app, printed off, or in some cases printed off in store. And then in the store itself, we do have opportunities to invest in samplings. There is some signage that we facilitate, and then testing out smart carts, digital signage, and in-store kiosks. But the bulk of it today would be our digital on and off site, with the in-store signage and samples being second. Hopefully I answered your question.
Yeah. Hey, Evan, let's double click down on your on-site media properties, particularly with respect to sponsored ad listings. Can you give us an idea of what kind of bidding system is being used, and what are the targeting capabilities? Like how can people use either words or historical purchasing behavior of shoppers to target? What is it that AMC is making available from that perspective?
Yeah, we do run a couple unique features that I think are differentiated in the RMN space. Well, I know they are, and they're things CPGs have asked for. So being that late mover, we were able to construct bid decisions and buying patterns that better reflect what CPGs and agencies have been asking for. First and foremost is all of our search SPA ads are second price auction, which is, I think we'll see more companies switching to that, more RMNs anyway. I don't think the big guys will, but it is a second price auction. So we're out of the gate starting with a more favorable CPC for our partners. The other buying tactics include a traditional managed service component. So this isn't necessarily the endpoint of an RMN, but it's the typical starting point, where the managed service includes a more full service, white glove engagement. And we work with the CPGs or agencies on planning that IO, talking about inventory packages, doing some forecasting and planning, and then really owning the execution and reporting components of that campaign. And that includes on-site and off-site. Where we try to push towards is the self-serve and the hybrid, the programmatic. That's a little more technical investment. And that's where we bring in partners like Pacvue to help bring that self-serve capability through their tools and their partnerships to those CPGs. We will see more self-serve take shape through things like Trade Desk, our recent audience and measurement autonomy that can be achieved through Trade Desk. And we'll continue to push into that self-serve model. But today we do majority of our business through the managed service buying solution.
So I'm going to jump a little bit into the store, and I'd love to learn. I'm sure audiences are really waiting to know what part of the retail media network or what solutions of the retail media network are actually available to brands for the in-store purpose.
Yeah, we would love to say everything is modern and available on a single ad server with IAB standards for digital out of home. That is a goal that a lot of RMNs consider and then struggle to deliver because of the complexities that those stores bring to bear, right? You've got very busy people in the stores. You've got a lot of payroll to consider. But to answer your question, we've got a sampling program that allows brands to build out their brand with new consumers. I would say that's interesting, but it's not revolutionary, and it's certainly not going to move us into the top 3 positions of RMNs, which is our goal. Where I think that can be achieved is through things like proper and appropriate digital screen integrations that could manifest through smart carts, that could manifest through kiosk, certainly traditional display ads in checkout, perhaps in some of our gas station locations. Ideally, all of those are connected through a single ad server, making frequency decisions and campaign management decisions to give the CPG some trust and transparency. That takes a lot of time, a lot of work, right? There's a lot of unique vendors, a lot of unique, even deploying that hardware in a store can be very complex. And so it's on our roadmap. I'm building out that product roadmap with stores in mind because that is such a unique, valuable asset. But today, the assets, I would say, are under-tapped in our RMN and most of the RMNs that are out there.
Hey, Evan, I've got a question for you, which is, we're in the throes of like Amazon Prime Day and talking to brands about planning for Prime Day. Can you talk a little bit about tentpole events that are important for Albertsons and how you think about, like Walmart has deal days that's kind of centered around this time, summer events. I mean, it's a big time for food with grilling season. How do you think about tentpole events for Albertsons?
Oh, thanks. Great question. Yeah, the brand stands behind a couple key messages. One that our CEO touts is being the food authority. We want to be solving people's problems when it comes to finding recipes, finding price points that match their budget, getting food delivered through our Fresh Pass or through our delivery partners. Like we want to be that end-to-end food solution. And a lot of that centers on the big tentpole events, either ones we construct or ones that are built around national holidays, things that people are already using for food purchases. They work well. I mean, there's always a need to buy something for that birthday, something for that 4th of July party. And the way we can construct marketing programs that support that and then monetize that with our CPGs, I mean, it's a home run idea and one that's proven quite valuable in the past. Things like Monopoly historically have done well for us. We've converted that to Flavor Nation and a few other merchant integrated campaigns. But I think in there lives a lot of opportunity to do better. So we've got our brains huddled around how we can bring those tentpole events to market with more CPG integration and more merchandise integration and really fulfill kind of a frictionless loop for those points in time where we can really push solutions to our customers. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of planning. So when you think of programmatic, that's almost on the opposite end of the spectrum. But if done right, they're compelling enough and they're large enough to make the payoff worthwhile.
I want to remind our audience that we today are speaking with Evan Hovorka, head of retail media products at Albertsons Media Collective, Melissa Burdick from Pacvue. All right, Melissa, now the spotlight shifts to you. Albertsons Media Collective recently announced a strategic partner with your company, Pacvue. Why don't you share with our audience the details behind this, and why do you think it helps brands who are seeking to leverage the Albertsons Media Collective platform?
Yeah, definitely. So our partnership is made possible through our integration with Citrus Ad. So that's how we deliver Albertsons CPC sponsored products. Their self-serve ad platform is through our Citrus Ad integration. And we're able to offer advertisers access to dozens of different retail media networks, including Albertsons through Citrus Ad. It's no secret we've been talking about there's a lot of media networks launching nearly every day. So when you have a channel as valuable as one like Albertsons, what we hear over and over again from brands is that they want to unlock advertising on these new channels, but it's kind of an additional lift that they're just not resourced for. So the real advantage of partnering with Pacvue is that we unify retail media. We kind of light up a new platform. It's available to all of our advertisers right there, and they can manage and activate their campaigns in one place. And then we provide smarter automation tools like bid boost day parting and more intelligent reporting like share of voice, so brands can get even more value and understand what's happening with Albertsons. So, something that we're really focused on is building, if Albertsons is building in one direction, we want to build in the opposite. So we're always adding extra value to our customers. So that's a little bit about our partnership. And, it's early. I think this is recent within the last, few months that we've launched. And we already have several clients that are leveraging the platform. And so we're still continuing to get early learnings. But super exciting times. It's helpful to understand when you have $1 to spend, it's a different customer on Albertsons that you're targeting versus other platforms. And so, excited to continue to learn more about this platform.
Thank you, Melissa, for that. And also congratulations on the growth of Pacvue and the partnership with Albertsons. Evan, so we talked quite a bit about capabilities on site, perhaps in the store. I'd love to learn more about offsite. And for that, I believe you now have a partnership with the Trade Desk. So how best would you describe this partnership with the Trade Desk to brands, and what kind of capabilities are you exploring there for offsite?
Yeah, maybe to put a super high level answer and then we'll double click into that. The natural evolution of the RMN, I would consider phase one, monetize all the internal assets, clean up data, figure out what's going to make that RMN special. Phase two requires growth, and on-site doesn't grow as fast as off-site. There is an infinite supply, it seems, of good inventory and good partners to be found outside of the Albertsons apps and sites and stores. And so that is a natural evolution. How you navigate in that outside world is different, right? We have a lot of authority and autonomy internally. We can build custom ad units. We can create very special and bespoke reporting functions for our CPG investors and our non-endemic investors. Off-platform, not as flexible, right? We're now forced to play in spaces where our autonomy and our control is limited. And so we look for ways to accelerate there. Some of those ways are finding those bespoke partners that have already paved or carved out some unique piece of the puzzle. Pacvue being a very big, important piece of that puzzle. Trade Desk's another one for different reasons, right? Getting into the DSP space. They've built a brand around autonomous, not autonomous, but flexible DSP capabilities that meets a market need. We have current relationships and do most of our work through DV360, but not all of our CPGs spend their budgets through that DSP. So to bring, flexibility to our product offering, we wanted to allow the Trade Desk customers to have a reason to talk to us, right? Switching DSPs for an RMN offering is a pretty tough sell. So we want to bring our products to where the CPGs are already spending, be a little more frictionless than other RMNs. And we also want to honor the fact that in some of these cases, CPGs can do a better job of certain pieces of the funnel than an RMN can, right? Be that rate cards or their own inventory suppliers, or just the fact that, hey, that we've invested in these trading teams. We've trained them to use Pacvue directly. We've trained them to use Trade Desk directly, either the CPG or their agency. We don't need Evan showing up saying, hey, jump through my unique hoops that I think are super important. They've got that figured out. And so, great. How can we be of service to them and leverage the late mover advantage? Well, we can decouple our assets and put a privacy stamp of approval on top of them and make them available in the places that they're already trading and trafficking. Now, we don't give it to the CPG. Certainly that's not in the cards, but we can enable decisions and we can enable optimizations through proper, safe, secure sharing of information with something like a DSP. So that's where Trade Desk and Albertsons Media Collective have partnered. And we've chosen to start with audience. It'll move to measurement and then likely in-flight campaign optimization. Don't hold me to that. We're going to work with our CPGs to see how that product roadmap should evolve properly to meet their needs. But that's the crux of the Trade Desk partnership today.
So Evan and Melissa, I'll start with Evan, and then Melissa, you can certainly add on. I know Shri and I talk with a lot of brand people, And what we're hearing increasingly from them is they are shifting their marketing mix to investments where they're getting precise performance measurement. So my question to you is, Evan, what performance measurement solutions do you offer to brands investing in AMC and your retail media solutions? And then, Melissa, if you have anything to add to that, please feel free to do so.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. I'll try to be brief on this one. Part of our promise is we are here to be transparent and trustworthy partners in this evolution of RMN CPG agency relationships. And so we want to make that reporting structure as flexible and meaningful and as transparent as possible. Our fearless leader, Christy Argeleron, calls it a co-op garden versus the walled garden. So there are things that we have to own and control, but being the co-op garden means we can allow insights and partnerships and services to be co-owned and co-mingled with the CPG. And in the case of measurement and reporting, to your question, we are very much in that traditional iROAS business. I think the world has moved beyond ROAS into incrementality. That's certainly true for the big guys who are looking to see products leave shelves. They can likely do their brand building on their own, although we do offer those services as well because we do have unique inventory. But they want to see meaningful results from their investment. And so our incremental reporting follows what I think, having been around the block with a couple RMNs, is the industry leading. It's not a synthetic test and control. It's done all in advance, which is more expensive on our part, more work. But we call out our A/B test groups in advance. We then push them through our activation process, and we're able to defend a stat-sig incremental methodology that I think is industry leading. It's also very, very fast. So some RMNs are still sitting behind a 6-week return cycle. We can do it within a week or two, depending on the investment volume. Now, how that turns into your total campaign did X, you get into some squishy situations if it's week 2 on a 6-week campaign, but the meaningful results can start showing up. And what that means is people can start optimizing quicker. Either we'll do that with our managed service, or we'll plug that into a DSP of choice, or we'll give that information to Pacvue, who can go in and tweak and play with the results. Like, that's where we want to be, either doing it on your behalf with your information, CPGs, or giving you the details you need through unique measurement tools to do it yourself. Beyond that, we do have common media KPIs, right? We follow all the basic metrics that are necessary, impressions and clicks and that fun stuff too. We have another layer of measurement called closed loop, just the fact that ad exposure happened to an individual and then a meaningful sale happened within that SKU assignment after the ad exposure. We're able to do that with our first-party granular data that lives for 106 million shopping Americans. So that's another unique piece of the measurement puzzle that we bring to market. That wasn't as short as I promised. I apologize.
Yeah, you said the magic word, which is incrementality. That's actually really refreshing to hear that, because every brand wants to understand that, and not many retail media networks are leading with that measurement. So that is truly refreshing and innovative that you are thinking that way. That's awesome.
It's Shree's magic word on every episode that we've covered of retail media here on the CPG Guys, which is God knows how many, maybe like 50 now. There's one word Shree talks about that's a must-have, and that is to really understand ROAS, as you said, Evan, like so day before yesterday. ROI is really incrementality these days, because if all you're doing is plucking a product from the store, you got to understand the value of that pluck from the pick from the store. And the best way to get to that is to truly understand, is there an incremental audience or an incremental unit coming in, with the media unit being actually invested in. So keeping that in mind, let me round this one out for our audience by asking both of you to highlight and comment on the partnership between Albertsons Media Collective and Pacvue. How are you both collectively supporting brands to leverage the platform offerings? And then what are you looking at in terms of enhancements? Up top of the show, Evan, you said you're working with brands to kind of continuously reshape the offerings. So if y'all can get into that, please.
Yeah, Melissa, why don't I take the first swing and then you can correct me along the way. We try to bring a full spectrum of products to market. We talk about managed service. That works great for a vast majority of our partners, but not everybody. So what comes after managed service? It's something in the programmatic space. It's something in the self-service space. self-service is a very tough piece of the puzzle for an RMN to build, right? You're getting into true ad tech. And I think an Amazon or Google would have some of those capabilities, but it's not something inherently available to every RMN. Nor do we want to do the maintenance and support of that, nor are we being asked to do that, because in there lives a level of trust and transparency that may not be available that a Pacvue can bring to market, right? So now we have an independent broker who's an expert at this and only focuses on this. And so that's a much more meaningful sell to a CPG. We want to make our assets available, our inventory available through the likes of a Pacvue, because they've already got networks and partnerships with people in the industry that our managed service pitch is not going to overwhelm or convince to move over. That strategy, that extension, is where I think our growth can come from. So we're just getting started. We do have several clients under contract with Pacvue and some strong growth expected. We want to enable that, though, through fast and meaningful data sharing of performance. So letting Melissa know, hey, these campaigns are doing well. Here's a low CPC opportunity for them to extend. Or these keywords, maybe these long tail keywords are underinvested. Why don't you package that up and see if you can find a soft drink vendor that would be interested? Or did you know growth in these organic searches are growing at X rate in these regions? Is that an area you can get ahead of with your sales team? So the more we can empower Pacvue and Melissa with smart, insightful nuggets, I think the more they can go sell and pitch and bring what's unique about Albertsons to market. And that's for search and spa. So beyond that, we haven't gotten into a 12-month, 24-month roadmap yet, but I'd love to see that mentality expand into display, into email, into in-store optimization. I think that'd be a beautiful place to take the relationship.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, in terms of what we're looking at enhancing for future offerings, is just integrating more retail data for smarter decisions. Like that's just the constant push, is how can we automate these decisions? How can we just advertise profitable items? How can we just advertise items that have enough inventory or weeks to cover? So like the more we can integrate that smart information and automate those decisions through our platform, that's what we're looking to do. And then, on top of that, we have this whole incrementality piece, which is going to be really fun to work with Albertsons.
I want to remind our audience that all of our content, it's all free. It's all available to you 24/7, 365. The site is never down. At least if it is, we don't know about it. But it should be up all the time. Just go to cpgguys.com and you can find tremendous thought leadership. We publish a lot of content there. We mentioned we have a merch store if that interests you. And if you think you have something that can contribute to this conversation that Shri and I are having, by the way, everyone noticed that the CPG guys refer to themselves in the third person a little too much? I don't know. What do you think, Shri? But please, if you think you have something to contribute to the conversation, drop us an email at contact@cpgguys.com. Maybe you can join us on the podcast. And don't forget, on our site, you can also give us a rating because we want feedback from you. Read us a review. It's all there at the top of the navigation bar. And thank you to the 14,000 followers of our LinkedIn page that is growing every day. We're so grateful that you choose us as a source for knowledge and information. Maybe a little humor, maybe a little baseball, but hopefully mostly education. I want to thank Evan and Melissa for appearing on the podcast today, talking about Albertsons Media Collective and how Pacvue is plugged into it to enable brands to engage Albertsons consumers. Evan, Melissa, thanks for joining.
Thanks for having us.
A pleasure. Thanks for having us.
All right, Shri. I know you're going to give us a big summary. I'm going to hit my one point, and it came late in the conversation, but Melissa emphasized it too. It's not just ROAS, it's iROAS, the incrementality word, the word that we love. That is what brands are really looking to understand. Not just how much sales did I get for ad spend, but how much of that sales were truly incremental. What are your thoughts on today's episode?
First, Peter, you said we refer to the CPG guys in third party. Maybe someday you can give me an introduction because, man, with 14,000 followers, they must be celebrities in their own minds. So I'd love the intro at some point. That said, normally what we do, Evan and Melissa, is, give you a 2-minute summary of the episode, but you summed up the whole episode with one word. And that word was used for the first time on the CPG guys by a retail media network, and that word was incrementality. Shri has challenged many people who've come on the show to get into incrementality, and 80-90% of the time they haven't answered the question. We'd get back to ROAS in some way or form. The fact that you're willing to take on incrementality head on is a game changer, folks. Is a game changer. It's, personally having led retail media from day one, working with FASB, the Financial Accounting Board of New York, and like auditors on how to classify it as a media investment versus a trade investment back in like 2015. I've waited for this day for a long time, and Evan, I'm going to come looking so we can partner on this together and make it a big deal for the industry. The CPG guys certainly would love to have you back and just talk through. It doesn't have to be a whole episode, just what the incrementality means and how important this is. My summary of the episode has really, really narrowed down on one word because it's the game changer the industry has been waiting for. In between all of that, Evan's done a great job already describing what I would call the new kind of startup retail media network in the industry, from the capabilities, the fact that there's offsite, the partnership with the trade desk, the partnership with Melissa and Pacvue to make it easy to measure, monitor, as well as place campaigns. I mean, at the end of the day, that one word just stands out for me, Peter.
I'm with you on that, Shri. I couldn't agree more. That is a game changer. And when Evan said they have late mover advantage, I think that's a prime example of where they do. So that's really great. Hey, man, thanks for...
Just so you know, Peter, I'm comparing it to the 60 home runs Judge will hit this year. So it's that big a deal.
Ugh. Well, let me just say that Peter was pleased that Shri could make today's conversation, and it was a real doozy. And Albertsons, you're welcome back anytime you want. Evan, your colleagues, we love hearing about all the great things going on, and it seems like you've got much in store coming forward. So, Shri, thanks again, as always, for joining me, and to our audience. We appreciate you taking the time to listen to our podcast. We look forward to you joining us on the next episode of the CPG Guys. Have a good day. The content in this podcast episode is provided for general informational purposes only. By listening to our episode, you understand that no information contained in this episode should be construed as advice from CPG Guys LLC or the individual author, hosts, or guests, nor is it intended to be a substitute for research on any subject matter. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by CPG Guys LLC. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. The views expressed by CPG Guys LLC do not represent the views of their employers or the entity they represent. CPG Guys LLC expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of, reference to, or inability to use this podcast or the information we present in this podcast.